Oh, it is Dr. Cinema. Man, I completely forgot that this week on Netflix we have a new movie of Stephen King's works in the make. Gerald's Game. Gerald's Game? It's a Stephen King adaptation, and it looks to be actually pretty good. And there's another adaptation coming to Netflix in October 1922 that actually looks to be pretty good as well. But with these two films coming out and the Dark Tower and new It movie already released, I've gotten to thinking out of all of the Stephen King adaptations in existence, which ones are the best? I mean, even the bad Stephen King adaptations certainly have their cult followings because of just how weird it is, but what are the good ones? The ones that are legitimately good? And well, I might have reached a little bit a couple of these, but I have assembled the top 19 best Stephen King adaptations. Why 19? It's a Dark Tower thing. The books, not the movie, which is bad and not on the list. But let's go through the list and I'll try to be as brief yet concise as I can with each of these. So at number 19 on the list is the 2017 TV series The Mist. Now, this is not the first adaptation of the same story, but it is one that's actually made in the TV series format. And the critics have been giving it fairly good reviews. It's nothing really groundbreaking, but it's still fun to watch. So if you're interested in checking it out, go on right ahead. Number 18, Maximum Overdrive. Okay, granted, this is not actually a legit good film, but it is like the Stephen King ultimate B film, just for how fun it is to watch. I mean, ACDC, come on, and the over the top acting from one of the characters, as well from a few others. It's it's like the ultimate Stephen King B film, so of course this has to be on the list. And number 17, Children of the Corn. Now I know what you're thinking. Children of the Corn, while it is a little good, it's nothing like really that great. But consider this: it's based off a short story for starters, a story that's probably never really meant to have been adapted for a movie. But in addition to the movie, we have a series of sequels, and I even think a reboot as well. And just the fact the novella has inspired a movie that's gotten a cult following as well as many sequels is actually kind of impressive. And the first film is still fun to watch because at least the kids actors are actually putting their all into it, and it looks like they're having fun, and it's just enjoyable to watch as well. So props to them. Number 16 is Creepshow. Now this is one that's a little bit different. It's more like a collection of few and horror anthologies that Stephen King has written. And there's even certain points in that movie where it pays homage to like the horror comic style that was going on during the time from like the 50s and such. But it's still very interesting to watch, and it does have some good stories. So I highly encourage you to check it out as well. At number 15 on the list, The Running Man. Now, this one is based off a story where Stephen King was under a different name. But it's an Arnold Schwarzenegger movie. If you're a fan of Arnold Schwarzenegger movies, both good and bad, then you're definitely going to check this one out. I mean, dystopian future, deadly game shows, and Arnold being Arnold. It's a whole lot of fun. Number 14 on the list, the TV series miniseries 11/22/63. Now this one actually came out last year as like an original Amazon miniseries, starring James Franco as a guy who based on the book 11/22/63 has a friend who owns like a time travel dimension door opener thing, where he goes back to sometime during the 1950s and he has to wait and prepare to stop the assassination of JFK. It's got like that dark atmosphere that scares, but it's also got a lot of heart to it. And James Franco had a really good performance as the guy who wants to stop the assassination of JFK, but also makes decisions that result in bad consequences. So if you really, and this has been an idea that Stephen King has sort of toyed with for a while too. So if you're really interested to see how it actually turned out, then go ahead. I don't think you'll be disappointed. At number 13, Cujo. Now, Cujo has pretty much become pretty well known in the mainstream realm. I mean, a rabid dog that attacks its family, that's pretty much what most people know about it. But there's a lot more to the story. I'm not going to really tell you what else happens, but there is family drama, conflict in the marriage. But you're really going to have to check out to understand it. And you will get your dog attacks too, so don't worry about that. Number 12, the 2007 movie, The Mist. So this is the first adaptation of The Mist, and the plot is very much the same as in the book and as the TV series as well. But the movie, there's a little twist that even Stephen King himself really liked. I'm not going to tell you what the twist was, but it did take things into a pretty dark direction, and it was pretty shocking. So if you really want to know what that twist was, go right on ahead and check it out. At number 11, The Green Mile, starring Tom Hanks and Michael Duncan. Duncan. He's the same guy who played Kingpin in the Ben Affleck Daredevil movie. Starring Tom Hanks as one of the guards on death row, comes into contact with a guy who is innocent but is on death row, who has some supernatural abilities. It's really more of a drama, a heart-touching story, and it's actually kind of sad, and it really got me in the feels. So it's something that you just need to experience in order to understand. Now it's time for the top 10, the big ones. At number 10, The Dead Zone. Now it stars Christopher Walken as a teacher who gains psychic abilities, and one of the people they use it on is a politician played by Martin Sheen. Now this is a legitimately good film, but it has enough weirdness and goofiness where you'll be very entertained while watching it. I mean, Christopher Walken and Martin Sheen, so you're gonna have your couple of good laughs too. But it's still pretty dark and has a very great atmosphere to it. Now at number 9, Misery. Now this is one of the ones that people always talk about. An author who is in a car accident that gets taken by a big fanatical fan of his work, and you pretty much know what happens from there for those of you who watched it, because most people have. But if you haven't, check out Kathy Bates' performance, because she will scare the hell out of you. Hey, that was a reference to the trailer for Maximum Overdrive. At number 8, the miniseries Salem's Lot. Now, the Stephen King miniseries have gotten a lot of bad attention over the years. You got the Langoliers, the Tommyknockers, the Stephen King miniseries version of The Shining. Oh yeah, he didn't like Kubrick's version, so he did his own miniseries. It does not go well, quality-wise. But the one miniseries that everyone agrees is actually good is Salem's Lot, a vampire story set in what was then modern America. It's scary, yet it's also very intriguing and exciting, and it has a atmosphere not unlike Dracula. So if you're a fan of the vampire genre, this is definitely a must-see. Number 7, Christine. I mean, what can I say about Christine the movie? It's directed by John Carpenter, the guy who directed Halloween and The Thing. So of course you know it's gonna be really good. And by the end of the movie, you're actually pretty much on the side of the car. She's going up against some other vehicles as well. It's just a very it's a movie that's really into itself, that likes to have fun, and you will definitely have fun as you ride down in the supernatural car of Christine. At number 6, Pet Cemetery. Now, the novel Pet Cemetery it's a little bit of a unique history. I mean, Stephen King wrote it based on actual events back in his old back in the town of Maine he was living in. Sorry about that. Where there were kids who were burying their pets in this little cemetery area that was near a busy highway where a lot of cars were running over pets. So of course Stephen King wrote a book on that, but he felt it was too dark and too scary, so he decided to shelve it. However, he was under contract for one more book, so he ended up giving it to them and became popular enough to make a movie out of it. It's about a guy whose little kid dies, so he takes him to a cemetery for pets, where the cemetery is known to bring pets back to life, and of course, bringing back the undead is not a good thing. So it's really dark, one of the darker Stephen King stories. But if you really like going to the dark places, then this is one for you. Now it's time for the big 5. And it's starting off at 5, the 2017 film It. Yes, I know it's only been out for I don't even think for a month, but it's already got its place as one of the best Stephen King adaptations. Now, technically, it only adapts the first half of the book, but considering the fact that the book is over 1,000 pages long, that seems to make sense. Starring Pennywise, the dancing clown, and a bunch of kids who band together to fight it off. It's a story that we're all familiar with, as there was a miniseries back in 1990. But it's a really great horror film that has really great character development and just has fun with the scares that it sets up. So, if you haven't seen it yet, go check it out. Number 4, Carrie, the 1976 film. Now, this was the very first Stephen King adaptation. This set the bar for all others to come afterwards. And it's actually pretty damn good. It's become a classic in the horror genre. I mean, a girl who, while having her period for, I think it's the first time, starts having some psychic abilities, and at prom, things do not go well for anyone. And it's a real, I guess you could call it a sort of feminine piece, I suppose. But if you really want to know for sure, you're just going to have to check it out. Now, the top big 3. And at number 3, the 1980 Stanley Kubrick film, The Shining. Now, with Stanley Kubrick, there are usually 3 films that people consider to be his best: Clockwork Orange, 2001: Space Odyssey, and this Stephen King adaptation right here. However, The Shining does not get on this list due to its faithfulness to the source material. I mean, Stephen King didn't like the movie so much he actually made a TV miniseries correcting it. And while Stanley Kubrick basically uses the book as sort of a jumping off point for his movie, it's still very psychologically terrifying. And it's considered not only a horror classic, but probably one of the best modern movies of all time. And Jack Nicholson's performance is very scary. The ghosts and the psychological scares in the movie will haunt you for a while and leave you with questions. It's just something that you can only experience once, and I highly recommend it. Number 2, Stand By Me. This is really a drama film, a coming-of-age story for a group of kids who travel to find a dead body. And it's, like I said in a recent video, this is one of growing up that has really mature, dark edge to it at the end, but still very heartwarming as well. And it's one of the best coming-of-age stories that you have to check out. And the number 1 Stephen King adaptation is Shawshank Redemption. like I said in a recent video, it's a really optimistic story at the end. It's a really memorable. If you really want to know more, check out my movie Face Off video where I talk about it more in depth. But that's the top 19 Stephen King adaptations. If you have your own thoughts on this list, comment down below. Like, comment, subscribe, share. Dr. Cinema, get ready because Halloween is on the way.